Welcome to A State of Mind, the podcast that brings together consciousness, meditation, mindfulness, psychology, psychedelics, and so much more in pursuit of this mystery we call life. This is Julian Royce. So I'm here today with Light Stone. Light, thanks for being on the podcast.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you, and it's good to connect. I was just checking out your Instagram. Got a lot of great videos. How would you introduce yourself to folks listening?
So I'm a human excellence coach. I believe that we are incarnate light beings having a very human experience, as though we are like deep sea divers from higher ethereal realms here in, although what feels, the air itself does not feel very dense. It's actually incredibly dense. And so our 3D physical bodies are like a deep sea diving suit, and our auric system and our chakric system literally slip into that physical kind of vehicle. And so I help people navigate their life as a human well through the use of psychedelics, through the use of internal family systems, and through the use of protocols, basically to help them optimize whatever it is that they want to do here on planet Earth.
Love that. Amazing.
I love that too.
And you have a circle on your forehead? I'm just noticing that.
Over my Ajna chakra.
Interesting. Is that a tattoo?
It is a tattoo.
Okay, good. Cool. Yeah. So this idea of, spiritual beings having a human experience, would that kind of speak to where you're coming from?
Yes, literally what I just said.
I love that. Yeah. It's interesting to think about, like, we're swimming through the air.
Yeah.
That the air is actually an element, part of, it's something we take for granted, right? So it's literally the water we swim in, so to speak.
Yeah. And if you think of like something like Jupiter or Mars or Neptune that are, primarily gaseous, this is actually also a gaseous planet. The gas that we have here, though, is less dense to our perception. But if you had a body that was optimized to live on Jupiter, for example, that would feel normal or relativistic.
Yeah, I like that.
So this is relativistic to our 3D bodies.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's interesting. I remember when I was a teenager and starting to become a little more sensitive, a little more aware, starting to practice meditation, being aware of the feeling in a room. You could call it the vibe, the feeling, the emotional space. And, like if someone had an argument and was angry, you could kind of feel it in the space afterwards. And I think, to your point, it's the vibrations.
Sure.
And, yeah. Let's see. I love to ask people how they got to where you're at, how you got inspired to get into coaching, to helping people in this way.
Yeah, sure. So for me, I started at a very young age learning about meditation and mysticism and magic. And it actually stemmed out of an experience I had around suicidal ideation. I had sexual trauma in my youth, and my parents were divorced. I went to boarding school. But before I went to boarding school, I was about 6, and I had this dream where I took my own life. My body floated, or my body died. The stomach lining dissolved because I, in the dream, took a bottle of aspirin. It was my plan to do in the morning when my mom went to work. My energy body floated outside of my physical body. I was super excited. I was very happy. I wanted to get the fuck out of here, get the fuck out of Dodge. And then went up into this kind of perspective of my neighborhood, then in the perspective of the planet. And I started getting older and older and older and larger and larger and larger. It was no longer that small 6-year-old child. And then from this perspective, literally this perspective, I realized that I'd made a mistake, that it was a long-term solution to all my short-term problems. And I then was kind of originated into this, felt like this like multi-dimensional ship with consoles, and there were other beings there, non-human. I don't remember any humans being there. And I said, put me back in. They said, you literally destroyed your vehicle. Like, it's done now. Like, there's a dead body. Technically it takes 3 days, but for the purposes of the dream, it was done.
It's done.
And I just started screaming because I knew that I had then abandoned whoever I came here to be with. And that was the greatest pain that I had. And I just remember screaming, this like huge, like luminous being, just screaming. And I woke up as a 6-year-old in my body. And I took the bottle of Advil or ibuprofen, I threw it in the trash. And from that moment on, said, okay, well, if I'm not going to kill myself, I have like a lot of time. I'm going to die no matter what. Like, this body will die. There's actually a lot of power in that. You're time locked here. I mean, you can maybe ask Nebuchadnezzar or Lazarus, how they stayed alive longer, but I think you got to really like do stuff for that.
Right.
And so with that, I was then able, and I still like, fucked around, played video games and stuff and wasted my time. But I had a drive to try to understand what was going on, how I can lead a good life, and what can I learn around the rules of what existence is. What is the difference between high magic and low magic? What does healing look like? What is joy? Things like that. I went out and was very deliberate and joined certain communities and did certain apprenticeships, lived in certain monasteries, practiced certain rituals to better understand that for myself. And now I share that with others. I'm a 6'2" projector in human design. I don't know if you're familiar with human design.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
So it's basically like fuck around, find out archetype. Basically study, master, and then share. And so at 40 now, I'm in the stage of continuing to refine, but sharing. And my understanding is that there will be a 10-year period of that, and then an even larger, massive expansion of sharing. But I'm in a state of sharing now on my podcast. I have a new talk show called The Prism that's here on Let's Do Podcast.
Beautiful.
Thriving network that I interact with of other healers. I have a healing practice myself where I don't heal other people, but I help them heal themselves through the use of legal psychedelics here in Colorado with Prop 122. And then I have a coaching program. Yeah.
Amazing.
And I'm a dancer and I have a daughter and all these other things. But yeah,
okay.
That is Lightstone. Not nutshell, but
yeah, I love the dance. I love dance too. That's been a big part of my journey.
Cool. What kind of dance do you do?
I do a lot of ecstatic dance,
Okay.
but I've also done, some bachata and some other kinds, but ecstatic dance and contact improv.
Yep.
So I love that feeling of connecting with myself and connecting with other people and exploring that.
Yeah.
And there's so much there. But that's amazing that at 6 years old, I mean, that's a young age to be having suicidal thoughts, a young age to have such a powerful dream, obviously changed the trajectory of your life.
Yeah. I mean, my sexual assault was probably when I was like 3 to 4. Oh, wow. So it's like several years later. So yeah. So it's all young is a relative term.
Right. That's a big thing at a young age, but maybe in a sense, maybe helped wake you up to some realities of life. And
I wouldn't trade it, but I wouldn't wish on other people. And I think that we can undergo hardship for ourselves to then be able to reach our full potential here. And I'm feeling pretty good at where I'm at. Yeah,
you're looking strong.
Yeah.
So that's been part of your path.
And strong inside, really strong in the heart. Yeah. So we can be strong outside, and then that can be power that is predatory. But if we have a strong heart, really be strong, be able to hold those negative experiences for ourselves and others, I think that's where the real power is. Really, power is a love language, which is something that
I like that frame. Power is a love language.
Yeah, power is. Yeah,
power is a love language.
Yeah. That's kind of the tagline of my whole ethos.
Okay.
Yeah, if I had a billboard somewhere, I think Jocko says this. If you had a billboard, what would be on the billboard? Mine would be power is a love language.
Nice.
Not always. Sometimes power can be predation, right? Predatory. But power is a love language.
So much shadow side with power, and a lot of people shy away from it, have fear around it, feel uncomfortable around it, or uncomfortable claiming it.
Sure.
But
not me. Not me. Give me that flaming sword, Michael. You're just holding on to it. Are you familiar? So here at Let's Do Podcast, we've got Michael, a good friend of mine, whose namesake is obviously the Archangel Michael. I mean, arguably one of our best. Are you familiar with him holding on to the sword for a bit?
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
It's a good story. One of my favorites.
Powerful symbol or story, however you want to understand it.
I think literally happened personally. Yeah.
What is the story?
So many different versions of this. I like the Enochian Fallen Watcher one. This is different. So this is of Lucifer, the Lightbringer. And so Lucifer being the first archangel, the first angel ever created, as the legend goes. The most beautiful, the morning star, also Venus in some mythologies. Unarguably the most beautiful creation ever.
Wow.
Ever. far more so than Adana or Adam and Adam and Eve. They are beautiful in their own way, but from the eyes of an angel or the eyes of a god or the eyes of another human, Lucifer was undoubtedly the most beautiful, created to be thus, and was told, however, that he needed to do exactly what he was told and wasn't able or allowed to ask any questions. And so to be the most beautiful and to be the most powerful and in his eyes to be the most honorable, but then to be put to the side and not to be put even next to the throne of God, Instead, there was an empty throne, and that was the throne for man, a lesser being from his eyes. So the story goes. And many say that then he and a third of the angels or archangels and their brethren rose up in question and said, why can we not do this and that? Why can we not ask this and this other question? Why must we only do what we are told? Why do we not have free choice?
So questioning God.
Great. And then potentially defying God. And this is the story of Prometheus. Once then humans came along, they were toiling in the earth, crying. And it was so loud for Lucifer and his brethren to hear the horrible weeping and gnashing of teeth of these beings that he actually didn't even really care for that much because they are lesser from his perspective. So the story goes. And then brought fire down like Prometheus from the high heavens, for he was that fire, and then gave it to the people. And then as he did, was punished very, very severely. And as the story goes, rose up against his brethren with the flaming sword. And right as he was about to strike Michael with it, because he was going to raise up arms against his brethren, he lost power is a love language, and it then became power as a form of predation, regardless of if God or Yahweh or whatever term we want to use, El Elyon is some that others use for these Nephilim. That power was removed from him and then came into the hands of Michael. And Michael then had a choice then to strike down potentially Lucifer, and maybe then the sword would have disappeared from his hand. But Michael did not. And then from that moment, Lucifer and the others fell from grace, from heaven, from the sky, and landed upon planet Earth. So the story goes.
Thank you. Wow, that's powerful. Where is this particular telling coming from?
Right now it's coming from Lightstone.
Oh yeah. Is there like a certain book or lineage that you're...
Sure, there's a lot in the Gnostic text that
The
talk
Gnostic
about
text.
this. Yeah.
So I've heard some people tell the story of Lucifer that he actually volunteered to take the role of Satan in hell or the
So
underworld.
Shaitan is different than Lucifer.
Okay.
But this can be a different story. My understanding is that Satan or Shaitan is different than Lucifer.
Oh, interesting.
But tell me the story that you know.
Yeah, it's just a story that...
Blue Lotus, everyone, a legal psychedelic here in Colorado.
Oh, nice.
From Astralis. If anyone has any questions about it, I love it. It's a heart opener.
Yeah, I've done some ceremonies with that actually.
Oh,
It's
have
powerful.
you?
Yeah.
it's a
I
great
love
one.
it.
Yeah. Would you like some?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll
Okay.
try.
Go for it. And are you familiar specifically with that one itself, or
No,
just Blue Lotus?
Just Blue Lotus.
I will then. I would suggest. I will show you and like offer this as a medicine another time. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe later.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've just heard. I mean, there's just... Let me think. There's so many different, stories in the Bible and different lineages and Gnostic texts, like you're mentioning. So it's just a version I've heard where, and maybe you're right. Maybe it's Satan. I'm not sure but it's the this figure that represents evil or the hell or the underworld.
The Luciferian energy is definitely not evil. Can then later have done evil from this perspective.
Yeah.
But to speak to what you're saying, in my meditations and in my studies, I think when they were handing out jobs in the high heavens, I believe that there was an entity that was created to do this thing well. We can call it Hades, hell, Hel. That's the Norway perspective. Call it, some would even say Poseidon. Others would call it Hades. Shaitan, the king of the underworld and his queen. And I believe that there was one who was created to do that, whether or not they volunteered or were voluntold. It's my understanding that then that role was time locked. That person then wanted to try something else, and then other people then kind of took up that mantle, and you have chaos in the lower realms.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, another... trying to remember, there's some theologians that I studied a little bit because I studied religious studies in college, and there's this kind of ancient debate: how could an all-good God create something like hell, or punish people, or condemn people to torment or suffering? And some theologians argued that when you die, you're judged, for your good and your evil, your good and your bad. But it's actually not God doing it; it's actually you judging yourself.
Sure.
And that you would then choose to go to what we call hell in order to purify that, so that you could then later enter heaven. And I like that understanding because it's more compassionate than this
Yeah.
idea of being there forever and that
Mhm.
it's a punishment from something external to you.
Do you know Neil Gaiman? He's a writer.
Yeah.
So
He plays with some of these ideas.
and I really appreciate his perspective in the Sandman graphic novel,
Mhm.
where then basically in the I enjoyed the Netflix series. It was like not my favorite. I don't know why they cast like Lucifer, and again they treat Lucifer as Shaitan. He conflates the two, but as a female doesn't make any sense to me. But whatever.
It's a strong. So is it the actor from Game of Thrones? The
She's
woman?
great. I like
Yeah.
her, but like he's very male. So like, sorry Netflix.
Yeah.
Either way, and they don't touch upon it in the Netflix show, but they do in the graphic novel, where Lucifer locks up hell. And again, in the graphic novel, he's very male. Locks up hell, and as he does so, there are some people that don't even want to leave, but they are torturing themselves. You are your own jail keeper in this way. I think from a meta perspective, we can look at it like that, and we can see our oversoul and see different aspects of us. It's kind of the Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's careful what you eat.
Careful what you eat. Yeah. And this idea that we, like you just said, can torment ourselves, be our own jailkeeper. A lot of people I work with struggle with a really strong inner critic.
Okay.
And there's these negative thoughts.
Sure.
And even when they do something good, it's never enough, or I'm not good enough, or why did I do that mistake, or how stupid you are. And it's interesting to take a step back and recognize like that's your own mind.
Sure.
Like on some level, you are torturing yourself.
Sure.
And so many of us are going through life. Like, I mean, I have that too. I think we all do to some degree, but I found it really
I have a pretty
helpful.
high positive self-regard.
Do you? Okay, good.
Yeah. It's taken a long time to then understand what are my own internal parts.
Yeah.
And I'm 40 now, so I've had a long time to work with this.
Nice.
I don't know how old you are, not to be ageist, but may I ask?
Yeah, I'm 42.
Okay, cool. So you also have a long time to work on yourself in this
Yeah.
way. So I was not this way even in early 30s and mid 30s.
Sure. Yeah.
And so to understand what are my own parts, and I don't know if you're familiar with Robert Falconer's work, The Others Within Us in IFS. Great book if you are interested in IFS. Yeah, Robert Falconer's fantastic. So he talks about what Richard Schwartz calls as critters. Richard, apparently his friends call him Dick. I'm not his friend. Maybe someday. I refer to him as Richard. That we have parts, and there are no bad parts of our parts.
Right.
But that there's also other. There's other.
Right.
They can be ancestral burdens, but then this notion of unattached burdens. They're not necessarily ancestral, but they can attach to our ancestral lineage, but they are other. And in other traditions, we would call these demons or aliens, right?
Right.
And that these things can both feed on us like a parasite and then also infect us and make us sick like a parasite. And that is very real in my direct personal and professional experience. And
Fascinating.
Robert Falconer talks about this at a very high level from an IFS lens.
Oh, beautiful. No,
cool.
I'm going to look into that. Yeah. One way that I've understood that is we have these introjects from our culture in the form of shoulds. You should do this, or here's an ideal. You should be making more money.
Sure.
You should be in better shape. You should weigh less. You should
Sure.
this, that. A big one for a lot of people is, and it's surprising to me how powerful this cultural narrative still is in 2026, but that you should go to college, graduate, get married, have kids, have a family, have it all figured out by like age 30.
And pay taxes.
And pay taxes.
Pay 40% in taxes.
Pay 40% taxes.
Maybe 50. Yeah.
And in my experience, like a lot of people have that kind of lurking in the background, and it's
feels like a control system to me.
Yeah, I agree. But it takes some inner work to get free of that kind of cage, and that idea that this is the way my life should be, and that there's something wrong with me if I'm not on that timeline.
And if it is a control system and like a yoke, around your neck, then I think that there are both physical agents like our government and the IRS, and then the propaganda arm, Disney and NSNBC and all of these large just media / propaganda agencies literally pumping this into us. Yeah. But above that, I don't know what your cosmological perspective is. I mean, I've been sharing pretty openly about what I believe. It's very multifaceted and multidimensional, but then there are non-corporeal entities that are very, very real, that have been named in history, like Baal, and then good ones like Ishtar. I mean, some might say that she's not good. I think the epitaph of the Whore of Babylon is not a very nice name for her. But it goes to show that these things have been around for a very long time. They have their own agendas, and I think they influence humanity very profoundly. If you look at the Epstein files, and there's literally a temple on that dude's island.
I saw that actually. I saw some photos of that.
Yeah.
And was that a temple to Baal? Is that, or
Well,
do you know?
it's a great question.
Okay.
So he literally named his bank account Baal, Baal, and they do child sacrifice very clearly, and whether or not they eat children. It looks like there are videos that they are doing that, but a lot of it's redacted because our government, I think, is completely corrupt. Not completely, but has been completely corrupted. There's still good elements within it.
That's
but
so wild.
they're certainly harming, and I'm sure also killing certainly young women and I think young children, whether or not they're eating them like they did in the ancient days of the Canaanite deities like Baal. I mean, his primary sacrifice was child sacrifice. Yeah.
I don't know a lot about that. I haven't heard that about eating children or
On
sacrificing.
Epstein Island?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Wild.
Yeah. Pretty gross. I mean,
Pretty gross.
like Jeffrey Dahmer,
Yeah.
It's not what I eat personally, but.
And yeah, it's interesting to see all these files coming out, and apparently the 3 million released. Apparently, there's 3 million that haven't been released. So
It's fucking crazy, bro.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And the stuff that has been released is like, I don't know. It's just like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like people get so upset about so many things, and yet there's literally a cadre of pedophiles that are deeply involved with our CIA and government, and yet people are not up in arms. I don't know. It's odd to me.
It's wild. We're in wild times.
Yeah. Some might say revelation. Yeah.
Some, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with Jamie Wheel?
I'm not. Yeah. Tell me about it. I mean,
He's,
I don't want to
he's a kind of philosopher and thinker and really, really smart guy. And I get his newsletter, and he was looking at the Epstein thing and just, using logic and reasoning. And he was like, he kind of broke it down into like 3 possibilities. One possibility is more surface level rich guys that want to party with young women.
Sure.
One possibility is there was.
That's different though than like they say like grape soda, like it's like code for rape, and then pizza for children.
Yeah,
so
I've heard
like
that.
grape soda and pizza, and it's like whole Pizzagate thing.
And those are odd foods to repeatedly show up in the emails of a billionaire.
It's
Grape
code
soda.
for sure. Yeah, grape soda.
No one likes grape soda. That's really disturbing to think about.
I definitely don't like grape soda anymore. It's untainted for me. So my point is, yes, I think that there are probably billionaires that just want to have sex with, like, I don't know, 18-year-old women or whatever.
Right.
But like, I got a 9-year-old daughter. Like, if you hypersexualize, there's a girl at the gym I go to a local gym here. She's 15. I would not let her dress the way that she does, but she is matured at 15 to the point in which she draws the male gaze.
Sure.
She likes it. She
Okay.
literally will walk past guys, and I don't know, a girl's dad's not doing his job, in my opinion. But I and all of my friends, even though she constantly does this at 15, bro, just look away. And it's like, whatever. I ain't even going to tell her not. Like, I'm just not interacting with that. Like, that is not part of my sphere of influence, interaction, nothing.
Yeah.
I got nothing to say to you. You get no energy from me. And you can stare at me all you want. You're 15.
Right.
And you're wearing booty shorts and basically a bra.
Jeez.
No.
You gotta have healthy boundaries, and like you're saying.
And so there's that. And then there are people who want to rape children on Epstein Island.
Oh man.
And potentially eat them, and potentially do Hunger Games style where they kill them and run them down with guns and knives and stuff.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so dark.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say one possibility that Jamie Wheel looks at, which is interesting, is how did this guy get all this money, all this influence? Why are these people drawn to him? Why are these rich and famous, powerful people drawn to him? In the possibility that there was something happening like you're describing, involving minors or children, satanic rituals, and that potentially they actually work, and that they actually are drawing power from them.
Oh,
that's why they're doing it.
I 100% I believe that they are. Yeah. And it's, I mean, and then you have to, I love this conversation. Then you have to look at, okay, what is the mechanism of operation there? Like what is working? Well, if there's a large deity that has some sort of influence, that is his food. You feed him. It's like quid pro quo.
Right.
He then does something for you. Now you have a shit ton of money.
That's
And influence and power. Same as in Hollywood. I mean, they have this whole like Illuminati thing and adrenochrome. I mean, there's a whole
adrenochrome. Yeah.
There's a whole universe here of stuff. But yeah, if you take the premise that there are not just Canaanite, but like we're talking about, Hecate as well, the triple goddess, she exists. Ishtar, Inanna, Freya, Odin, although he died from Fenrir, and then Fenrir was then killed by Vindar, and everyone's trying to bring these guys back to life, literally as part of the Prosetta. But all of these deities, if you think about them as real entities, as Robert Faulkner has from an IFS lens, you pay homage, you give offerings to these deities. Right. They then may reciprocate to you.
Right. And that's such an ancient thing. There's really nothing more ancient in human spirituality than making sacrifices, offerings to gods for some kind of reward or
100%.
connection.
And like, who are you
Um,
who are you asking to, and what are you asking of them to give you, and what are you giving in return? 3 super important questions.
yeah. Yeah, I wasn't expecting this to go here either, but from the modern scientific point of view, this is stuff in the past. But if we zoom out on human history, like I just said, I mean, this is all there throughout human history, and it's still there today. And yeah, I wonder. It's interesting too. If you look at the Old Testament, which we think of Christianity and Judaism and Islam as these monotheistic religions, if you actually read part of the Old Testament, at the very beginning, it talks about there being other gods in heaven
100%.
with God.
Yeah.
And so this idea of other gods is there from the beginning of the Bible.
Yeah. How can you be jealous if you are the
Right.
one above all?
Right.
You
Yeah.
can't. There's nothing to be jealous of.
Yeah.
And literally, you have Yahweh from this perspective, and a lot of these names are convoluted. But you have Yahweh, there's Baal, and then Moloch as another.
Yeah.
And these deities are fighting. I just recently did a social media post on my social media, lightstone.media, if anyone wants to check it out, talking about, from an IFS lens and a redemption arc and atonement path, let's look at Yahweh and Baal and Moloch, and we can put Moloch and Baal kind of in a separate category where they take child sacrifices. Yahweh does not. Now, there's some scholarly debate as to whether or not he has in the past. Some of his priests did, but as a rule and as a whole, he says, do not do this for me. Still demands shit ton of killing, pillaging, raping, other bad things.
I was going to say, there's a lot of bad shit in there.
So much.
Yeah.
But there is a line in the sand drawn. It's very interesting.
That is interesting.
His brethren, his Elohim brethren, want child sacrifices, demand them. And there is very clear.
Specifically children.
Specifically children.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yes.
Not just human, but children.
Specifically children.
Wow.
And he says, no, not me. And that's interesting. So if you think about it from this lens of this deity, and I'm not even saying that this is the Jewish God, I'm just talking about a particular Canaanite deity. And maybe the Jewish God came out of that. Maybe it's something totally different. I don't know. But there is a deity that this is very clearly in canonical information.
It's in the Bible, yeah.
This happened. And it's the one that they also talk about and claim. But there's evolution there. If you have a being that has that line drawn in the sand, that's an ethical framework.
Right.
And then for that deity to then atone and have an atonement path, it makes this very interesting distinction. I would choose the Yahweh in that group, the person who has, or the entity that has ethics. And who knows what's above him? They say, and I may be mispronouncing it, but I believe it's El Elyon, but El, it's the one above. Which interesting, Michael's name, Michael, my understanding, and Michael can share his understanding too, translates to the one who is like El. And that Michael was this different entity, came from elsewhere. They called him an archangel, but actually it's just kind of an easy title to give him. He was the one who was like El. So of a similar caliber to El, where Yahweh and the others were these Elohim that then bred with humans and created Nephilim.
So you're saying the archangel Michael was a kind of higher being than some of these ones. Okay.
From this perspective.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. The one who was like El. Yep.
Yeah. This is fascinating.
Yeah.
It's interesting to think about if we, there's been anatomically similar or the same humans for at least 100,000 years, maybe 250,000, we don't know exactly. So if we expand our time horizon of humanity, for tens of thousands of years, we've, humans that are physiologically the exact same as us has been on this planet. And it's interesting to look at religion as potentially, and this is a positive view of religion and spirituality, right? It's helping us evolve, helping us develop in a positive direction, become more moral, more ethical, more compassionate. I don't know how well it's working in today's world,
well,
but you're speaking to this idea in the Bible of, hey, these other gods are asking for human sacrifice. I'm not asking for that, and so that's a kind of evolution.
Or it's not asking, demanding.
Yeah.
If
demanding.
If you don't do this, I'll kill you.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. It's rough, bro.
It's dark.
Yeah, and Yahweh was rough too. I mean, look at Sodom and Gomorrah. I mean, nuked 2 cities.
Right.
Yeah. I think if you look at like the Lesser Dryad period and the Great Flood, I think there's been several resets of civilization. I mean, in my not so humble opinion, I do not think that humans built the pyramids. And I think that's insane to anyone who thinks that. It's ridiculous. And so who then built them? Either ancient man with tools that we do not have currently, whether they're levitating stones or having lasers to cut, or Nephilim, which would be angels and demons as we think of them, and we think of the seal of Solomon. I don't know if you're familiar with King Solomon, the temple builder of Jerusalem. He was given by Yahweh the seal of Solomon, whether a ring that gave him dominion over demons and influence over angels. And then they built the temple of Jerusalem. I actually can draw my genetic lineage to Solomon. Wow. This means something in certain esoteric circles. If then there were these beings that built these temples, like the Temple of Jerusalem, like the pyramids in Giza, like the Mesopotamian temples, like the Shivatic temples in India, that I don't think humans made those. Who then made them, and then where did they go? It seems like there was some sort of reset, right? And that someone won some sort of battle. In the yogic tradition of India, they talk a lot about sky battles with literal fucking spaceships. I think they're called like Vinandas.
Right. Yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah.
And so they're literally talking about aliens fighting in spaceships.
And that's recorded in some of the most ancient texts that we have, the Vedas. Right? I mean, it goes way 4,000 years ago at least. So I just had Adam Apollo on this podcast, and he's in the area here in Boulder sometimes, and he knows a lot about this kind of stuff. So we went back into the kind of Graham Hancock territory of ancient civilizations, and his perspective, similar to yours in a lot of ways, but he's talking more about star systems and that these beings maybe came from other star systems, and that they're still here even if we're not aware of them, and that they're actually protecting us.
I think that they are here, and if they're protecting us, I would say they're doing a really shit job of it. I mean,
well, one point he made that I liked is we haven't had a nuclear war, and in that way.
Well, it's like if my daughter comes to me and she goes, "Daddy, why are you yelling at me?" Say, "Just be happy I haven't hit you yet." Jeez. So I think if they're protecting us, they're doing a shit job. Look at Jeffrey Epstein.
Hard to argue with that. Yeah, I mean,
I have an 8-year-old daughter, and I would never say, "Well, good thing you didn't have a nuke. Good thing I never hit you." So that's I don't know. That's my response to that one.
So maybe a more logical conclusion would be some of these beings are, so to speak, for the good, and some not so good.
I think the ones that are not so good are probably the ones running the show right now. I mean, just look at the government. Look at Epstein. Look at the wars we're under. How much money and how much power is being consolidated by so few people. My understanding is we have enough physical resources to end world hunger on the planet.
Yeah, we do.
The overpopulation issue here, we have declining birth rate. People don't want to have babies here.
Right.
So this whole notion that this is a scarcity planet, it's a fucking lie.
Yeah.
So if these beings are protecting us, I don't want their protection. They're doing a shit job. Yeah. In my personal opinion.
Yeah, the declining birth rate's an interesting one. There's the macro level. You're right. The birth rate's going down. Why is it going down? Well, people I work with personally who have said to me that they would like to have children, but they feel like they can't afford it. And why have we created a society where having a child feels financially out of reach? It's insane. It shouldn't feel like it costs so much money to have a kid.
We've got, what is it, like Blackwater, which is a paramilitary group, is like buying up all the residential homes.
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
I mean,
I saw
that seems like a fucked up thing.
So in the news the other day was an article, the average price of housing in America since 2019 is up 50%.
Yeah.
So that's exactly that's part of the reason. Yeah.
Yeah. So who's doing that?
Well, so what I think is happening is we're in a class society. First of all, a lot of people don't recognize that America is a class-based society. There's a big division between people who own property and those who don't. And we're creating a more intense version of that, where there's going to be a small group that own property, and there's going to be the big majority that rent their whole life. And that's the world we're creating. And a lot of people don't want that. No one would vote for that. And yet we feel helpless to stop it.
Well, because I believe there's a control system that actually is controlling people and funneling them like cattle and herding them to a slaughter, just like Baal and slaughtering into the fire.
Jeez.
Yeah. And the good thing is that there are clearly other benevolent beings, we can call these starseeds, that are here. And we live in a large universe with many, many planets. And I'm sure that those beings have very large spaceships as well. And I would be not nervous, but if whoever is running the control system, clearly they are aware then that there is now oversight and people very clearly seeing them and very closely watching them. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, let's see. I'm hesitant to ask this question, but I feel like I just want to.
Have some courage.
So, I mean, it'd be hard to argue with you. There's all these negative things happening in the world today.
Sure.
Things feel dark. I'm curious how you see, and we're talking about the Epstein files a little bit. I'm curious how you see, and we don't have to spend too much time on it, but how you see Trump in all this.
I see Trump as, man, it's like divide and conquer. So we have, it seems to me, in our political system, we have the right and the left.
Mm-hmm.
Choose your flavor of demon. You want the one that hurts children and wears blue. You want the ones that hurts children and wears red.
Jeez. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, equally bad, really.
I mean, Kamala Harris, DNC pushed her through.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's
no democratic process.
Yeah, they're literally called the Democrats. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
That's dumb. That's just stupid.
Yeah.
And you listen to her speak, and you're like,
yeah.
What the fuck did you just say?
A lot of people did not want to vote for her. Yeah.
Trump, I think these people are puppets. They're little finger puppets under a table. Like, yeah. That's what I think. I think they're finger puppets. So what's the hand? That's the real question.
Yeah.
What do you think the hand is?
Well, just on a more basic level, Eisenhower warned us about the industrial military complex,
Mm-hmm.
and there's these, massive corporations. I mean, our military budget is just astronomical.
Mm-hmm.
And so when these politicians talk about reducing debt, which makes all the sense in the world, and then when they're in office, they increase military spending every single year, I just feel like that's the answer, a big part of it. Like there's these corporations, industrial military thing that it's a beast that's gotten so big, it has to keep eating. If it keeps growing, keeps getting bigger and bigger, it's going to, like, I don't know what the end game is. It's going to eat the whole earth. Like, how much of our budget, how much of the earth's resources can we pour into the Pentagon? I mean, it has more money than like a lot of the other nations' militaries combined at this point.
Failed its audit how many years in a row? Every single one that it's
for
ever been audited.
Decades.
Every single one that it's been audited failed.
Yeah, they don't even audit it. They don't even try it.
Well, so then who runs the government? That.
Yeah.
Not fucking Trump.
Right.
What does your vote mean? I mean, he's pushing some interesting legislation. I mean, I guess, like, I like what Kennedy's doing around food additives. Like,
I like that part. Yeah.
Yeah. But, like, they're finger puppets. And so then the question is, okay, military industrial complex, what's running that? You want to think about, like, Lockheed Martin, downed alien spacecrafts, reverse engineering of alien tech. If you look at Aleister Crowley and the advent of rocket fuel, that was through his religion Thelma and OTO, where they're channeling otherworldly beings, and apparently they gave them the fucking chemical compound for rocket fuel, and then NASA came out of that.
I haven't heard that.
Fucking wild. Wild. Look it up. Fucking wild. Are you familiar with Aleister Crowley?
A little bit, yeah.
Yes, he's an occultist.
Yeah.
And Thelma is an entire spiritual tradition based off of a lot of Hermetic and Enochian magic. So these people are channeling entities. Okay, well, I think the entities have been here the whole fucking time. Like, again, in the Vedas, like, it's very clear. And some of them fucking, I think, won several battles. And they talk about these literal fucking space battles. They talk about it in the Prose Edda, actual space battles, like beings fighting. Valkyrie with wings that allow them to fly in the air. And the ones that won seem to be, again, doing a really shitty job of being nice to humans.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with that.
Yeah.
There's also the idea, I've heard that some of these entities feed off of our fear, our stress.
Yeah, loosh.
Yeah.
You familiar with this term?
Huh.
So that's that. Yes. So what they are eating is loosh.
Okay.
There's a word for this. You can have positive loosh, but people don't usually mean it in that way. So your energy, your chakric system basically emanates energy, whatever you are. And if you are under a predation field and constantly harmed and have PTSD or CPTSD, you push out negativity, very dense energy. These negative beings are addicted to this whoosh.
That's like their food.
Yeah, and you are what you eat, like that Aurora Borealis or the snake eating its own tail. So then you are, locked down and just addicted to this negative, dense. I mean, it's like eating a shit sandwich. Then what does that make you? Shit.
Well, it's interesting that this idea, this teaching, it's not new. And there was a spiritual teacher in the 1940s and 50s in America who was speaking to this. What was his? I'm blanking on his name right now, but I think there's something. Yeah, I think there's something to it. Even just like if we bring it back to more, the individual, like we were talking about with IFS, and there's these parts of ourselves that are burdened. Some of them aren't actually ours. They came from outside of us. Eckhart Tolle talks about the pain body. And so we could kind of look at it like we get addicted to stress, depression, anger, and then that part feeds off that. And if you were able to stop that for a long enough period of time, that part would be begging for that food. Like that addiction would be crying out to you.
From an Eckhart Tollean perspective, yeah.
Yeah. So that's like one perspective.
But from an IFS perspective, we would unburden the part, heal it, and then it would no longer need to survive on that food, and then would no longer be in a self-sustaining cycle of self-harm, right?
Right. That's a great way to look
I think
at it.
Eckhart's great. I mean,
Yeah.
But I think that in internal family systems is a much more cohesive and system for healing. Personally,
I think there is physiological component to some, if we're talking about addictions in particular, and the way that stress and emotions can have that addictive quality.
Sure.
And but I agree totally with what you said. I just think the reality a lot of people struggle with is making those changes, like those old habits. It keeps coming back up. You have to keep working through it. In my experience, like it's like it can be like a spiral. You'll be in a new place, but a similar kind of pattern will emerge. Work through it again. Over time, it becomes easier and easier, and you become more confident in your ability to not fall into those old patterns.
All I can do is speak to my own personal experience of myself and with clients.
Yeah.
When we truly unburden a part, that part is no longer burdened. And that negative energy just no longer exists within our body system. Full stop. Just like done.
Yeah.
And so
yeah.
Can we be re-triggered? Potentially. But if we think about neuroplasticity in the human brain, CPTSD and PTSD will usually have a default mode network that goes in through the amygdala. And so there's actual wetware with neurological components of dendrite connections linking into the amygdala. The amygdala can enlarge, right? We can unlink that. We can have neural pruning, and we can change that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
And so if you can change it on a neurological basis, you can change it on an IFS basis, that part is now in alignment. And I mean, you're no longer in that cycle.
You don't have to keep looping it. I appreciate that.
And it's like the notion of like getting off the wheel of samsara, of suffering.
Yeah.
But now let's say a being wants you on that wheel, and it's like a hamster wheel, and you're running the hamster wheel for something else. They're going to keep you locked on that wheel, right?
Yeah.
We call that predation, predatory behavior. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan. And if there are beings here that want to say that they're protecting and like helping humanity, it seems like they're doing it for their own self-serving goals of keeping humans on a hamster wheel.
That's interesting. A lot of people I talk to and have on the podcast, have the spiritual perspective, and there's these angels, these positive beings, and for sure there's value in connecting with those. But you're speaking to the reality of our world, and like
the angels are real too. The positive beings are real too. I would say I'm an incarnate one. Yeah.
I want to appreciate your point. You can truly heal these things and be in a new place. It does take inner work. This leads me to another thing I was going to ask you about, the role of psychedelics. You mentioned that at the beginning. You're using that to help people. I work with that as well. And that's where I've seen some of the deepest, longest lasting, true healing transformations. I'm curious, anything you want to share on that? How you've seen, how you're working with that?
So if we want to go from this like super high spiritual level, some people believe, it is my understanding, that the human, in my personal felt sense, in my meditations and the research that I've done, both spiritual texts and even trying to bang around in genetics. I'm not a geneticist, but a lot of the junk DNA they talk about.
Oh yeah.
I believe that the human body was created and influenced by a series of hyper intelligent beings for a series of things. That was then corrupted. And some people will call it, we had 12-strand DNA that was then knocked down to 2-strand DNA. Are you familiar with this concept?
I'm not.
Cool. So imagine a lot of people say it's got a 7-strand helix or an 8-strand helix, and the other strands up to 12 are ethereal, and they're layered on top of that. So if you actually just look at the physical helixes themselves, it's only, I think, 7 or 8. Again, this is not my area of expertise.
Yeah.
But to answer your question about psychedelics, this is how we get there. Then someone went in, tinkered around with it, and was like, well, we're actually going to downgrade these mech suits. Remember we talked about like the deep sea diving suits for a various set of reasons, potentially as warriors, potentially as a food crop, potentially just to kind of fuck around and find out. Either way, here we are as humans. Got a, calcified and, atrophied pineal gland. What's that about?
Hmm.
I mean, all sacred texts talk about that being the third eye. They're
Mhm.
trying to shut that shit down so you can't see your jailers.
Hmm.
Not very nice. And so psychedelics allow us to reawaken
Mhm.
those parts of ourselves, wake them back up.
Yeah.
The doors of perceptions open, as Aldous Huxley says.
Yeah.
And so psychedelics also have novel and unique pharmacological effects inside of our body system. Can reopen like the attunement period and pairing.
Right.
So if you have developmental trauma, you can take certain psychedelics and reopen that window.
Mhm.
And a really good facilitator is what I do for my job at stoneprotocol.com. I don't have the client attuned to me. I have them attuned to themselves.
Nice. Yeah.
Right. So they
Self-attunement.
are so they are their own. They parent themselves, self-parenting from that
Yeah.
perspective.
Yeah.
And so there we leverage these as healing tools.
Mhm.
I hold the container, and then the individual heals themselves with help through internal family systems,
Mhm.
sometimes psychedelics,
Mhm.
legally here done from Prop 122 here in Colorado.
Mhm.
And then sometimes just holotropic breath work. You can bring yourself to these states,
Yeah.
like with ecstatic dance and others, to be able to resource yourself and reclaim, as Bruce Lee says, all that heavenly glory of our former, 12 strand DNA. And many people believe that we are on a path of healing ourselves and revealing what we are and what we truly are deep inside, and then having our external frames mirror that back to us and then be a prism to shine that light out. That's what I think.
That's beautiful. Thank you. I love that. Yeah, could definitely. I appreciate what you said about attunement and attuning with yourself, parenting yourself, becoming your own teacher, your own healer, have the self-healing process.
Yeah.
A lot of people have had that experiences, and it's really helpful to have a guide and support, especially with psychedelics, to help hold you in your intentions in that space.
And help protect you from any predaceous entities that are there. I mean,
yeah,
I very, 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 very strongly believe and have direct personal experience to non-corporeal entities that harm people and try to harm people during healing ceremonies. I mean, it doesn't work for them, at least not when I'm holding space, but they can try.
They try. Yeah,
and
a lot of people
tagged and bagged. they go to demon daycare. They can learn and grow.
Yeah, a traditional part of Buddhist practice is having a protection sphere or circle around yourself, and that's something that I'll include often in ceremonies that I'm a part of.
And then also from a Buddhist perspective, teaching the Dharma to potential demons. You think of the entire Bon tradition, all of Tibetan Buddhism, and even in Shinto too. There's some very powerful deities there, kami. And I forget what they're called in Tibetan, but in the Vajrayana system, there's many.
The protectors.
They're transformed into Dharma protectors. And so the offering that I would make to you, whatever parts that you might have that are still locked in some of those cycles, I don't know, I would invite you to be curious about transforming them into Dharma protectors. They don't go away. We don't disenfranchise them, and we don't rip their fangs out either. I mean, the snow lions, they still have those teeth. I went to Naropa. I don't know if you're familiar with Naropa.
I went to Naropa University. Yeah.
And we'll talk about that in my podcast
nice.
next after this. But the snow lions, they still keep their teeth, right?
And the claws.
And they keep the claws. My cat, I love my cat. It knows how to play with me in a way that won't harm me. It knows that when it paws my hand with a gentle paw, it's nice. But if I'm a little too rough on his tummy, he'll take his claws and he just goes a little. But he can't speak English, right? And my fucking pineal gland's been atrophied. So he's got to communicate with his claw. And he knows to go boop. I go, oh, I'm sorry, Thunder. I'm sorry. And then he snuggles up.
Oh.
And he is a Dharma protector. And so those parts in you, they could potentially also be Dharma protectors and no longer be locked in that cycle of samsara.
Absolutely. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, great. Well, thanks for being on the podcast. It's a rich conversation. Yeah, I'm excited to be on your podcast. So
stay tuned for part 2 on the Stone Protocol. And then you can find that at the Stone Protocol Show. You can learn more about me, Lightstone, at lightstone.media on Instagram. Send me a message. And my website is stoneprotocol.com.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.